Well, greetings. I'm Savannah from Black Witch Coven, like you know, and this is an Ask Savannah video. This is where I have a bunch of questions that I haven't gone through yet, actually, and I'm going to attempt to answer some of them in about half an hour. I'm going to keep it to around half an hour. Yeah, so I don't pretend to know everything about magic, and I don't have all the magical answers. In fact, the more I know, the more I feel like I should know. It's very humbling once you open a lot of doors and you feel quite exhausted because you realize how much you don't know. And so that's how I feel. But still, I love that you trust me with asking me some of these questions. It's really cool. So, yeah, it's nearly the end of the year, and I got to tell you, like, I'm so ready for an energetic change. I mean, this year, not skiting or anything, but because I've put in the hard yards. I've put in decades of giving my love to my spiritual practices, and so yeah, I feel blessed as I should. But I'm ready to swift this freaking energy out of 2021 and see what BS the politicians have for us in 2022. Because, like, aren't you just sick of the bullshit, sick of the lies, sick of the hype, sick of these know-it-all yeah, this is a Savannah bitch. It's energetically draining to have all these experts who are basically hired for a reason to give their official opinion without even looking at statistics and the effect that has on society. And mainstream media, which I just switch off because it's so contrived. It's treating people like fools, especially, like, you don't have to have an education to look at the statistics to see the result of even the latest Omicron, to see that people are not dying in stupid numbers, and that essentially, if you're old or you're sick or you're not in great health, yeah, you'll probably die, but you're going to probably die of a lot of other things as well. That's just the facts of life. And so can we please just stop the bullshit and get on with making money and paying our taxes, like, for real? So it's just exhausting. And so I just turn off mainstream media because it's just stupid. Like here in New Orleans, the crime statistics are through the roof. And instead of focusing on why the crime statistics are so high, like, you've got all these young kids who kind of don't blame them. Like, they're from a lower socioeconomic status. Let's just be fucking honest for once. They don't have a lot of opportunity. They're not given a lot of opportunity. And yeah, like, I don't know, probably from, and not judging single mums because I've been there as well, but you're torn in your time. You don't have time to watch your teenage son and his friends and control that relationship because you've got no control on that anyways. But the violent crime, a lot of these carjackings in New Orleans and other violent crimes happening by youth. Now, why is youth such a big problem? Why are they going and doing smash and grabs in the shops? Why are they doing all of these serious crimes? Why is murder in New Orleans and other parts of the US on an all-time high? Why do youth go get their parents' guns, go into school and start shooting out the cohort, the teachers and other people that have pissed them off or teased them? You know why? There's such a sense of hopelessness. And where does this hopelessness come from? The mainstream media, all the bullshit people that they get on there who are paid, and it really has this effect, this flow-on effect in society, where if I'm a 16-year-old kid, I can't go to school, I don't have any other opportunities, there's no supervision, my mum's, there's no money for me to do anything. So of course I'm going to find the gun that's hidden under the vibrator drawer, pack it, and then go and see if I can grab a car and do a joyride. Fun. Does that sound so far-fetched? No, that's what's really happening. But there's no statistics or discussion on the reality of what's happening. It's just frustrating. I'm frustrated. It's annoying because it's my passion is for the youth, for people that don't have a lot of opportunity, people that are mentally ill. Of course, I'm passionate about that. But it's really quite sad because the way this government, this Biden guy, this Christian career politician got into government, has no freaking clue, and created all these humanitarian issues, really just pushing in for these like vaccines. Yeah, sure, I've got my vaccine. With all the drugs I've put in my body, all the crazy ass situations, of course I'm going to have a vaccine. Give me two. You want me to have a booster? If it's going to shut you up, I'll do a booster. I'll hop in a circle, whatever you want me to freaking do. Can we just get over it though? But we've got these puppets up there, career politicians, who are doing the political thing because they're in term for a short time, and they have to beat their chest and just try and play the game of politics. Well, that's all falling apart, isn't it? It's seriously, it's really quite depressing what's happening here. But it's really what's happening in ground zero, in the everyday life of the average person in the world. The rich are definitely getting richer. The poorer are definitely getting poorer. And those in the middle who are just trying to make it happen, like the small business owners, entrepreneurs, they're getting squashed. And so they'll either make it and make it great, or they'll just be pushed to the side, and you're just going to be fighting for that Social Security check. So, it's just really, really quite sad that there seems to be no end to this. The way we digest information, the way, people have been trained to live in fear and accept that fear, and allowing the news media to just push this agenda without any statistical backing. Anyway, that's my Savannah bitch. But why does it upset me? Because it upsets so many of my clients who are having to deal in the daily grind of all of this bullshit. It's just upsetting. And then, to see this New Orleans and the youth, it's just sad. It's just really sad. But so I'm looking forward to the new year, because what I do is I reset everything. And I've spoken about this, I think, every year. I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail, but I like to really just swift a lot of this old that's been accumulating, and just reset. So I'm just going to propel into the new year to try and swift this. And I do that by not only I do a mega ritual at the beginning of every new year and set goals and so forth, but also reset myself spiritually, and really just realign myself with my spiritual guides. So I'm just making sure that they know that I'm ready to work my goals. That's key, because the way I like to talk about the way we work with demons and other spirits as well, Lakshmi, Hecate, all the spirits in my system, is I don't expect them to give me jack shit. I expect that I have to have the motivation and the energy and the effort to go for what I want. And then if I do, then they are going to uh, they're going to help me along that journey. That's my philosophy. Not saying every occultist is doing what I'm doing, and nor should they, but that's just the way I work and my magical style. Yeah, so be it, right? So that's why I'm just like antsing to get to the end of the year and just blow this energy. Now, I'm not saying there's not going to be more political bullshit, because there's money in drama, and there's going to be there's money being made right now with this bullshit, and the government is riding on its white horse and saving society from all of the drama, from the deadly virus that's going to wipe out mankind in its entirety. Ha ha. But yeah, that's still going to be around next year because there's too much money to be made from the hype. So what can we do? Well, we can just set our own goals and focus on our goals and turn off all the media channels, any friends, any people in your life that you can. This is a time to swift, to move, to make a cognitive agreement with your higher self that you don't want this energy in your life for 2022. Like, we've had our time to be scared. We've had our time to process it. We've done our dance. We've done all this shit. You've had your vaccine. You've had your booster. You've pat yourself on the head. You're wearing a mask. You're doing all of this stuff. Okay, tick, that is done. Enough. Enough already. Okay, can we get on with the art of living? Please just stop. So, but that takes a process for you to digest, to understand, versus just being a puppet in the government. Like, look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's just, I don't even want to say it, because we know people get their channels removed, right, for having an opinion, or for other people having an opinion on your channel. Whatever. I mean, I don't care. Whatever. I'm still going to be around even if I'm not on YouTube. I was here before, I'm going to be here after, whatever. But, that's my goal, is just to swift this out. It's still going to be here, I know, but I've got to reset myself for 2022. I've got to dismiss, as I do every year, dismiss a whole bunch of shit. I'm going to make, not that I talk about my goals, because you shouldn't share your magical goals with the broader community. It's there's a lot of reasons why I'm not here to educate the greater community on the what you should be doing in witchcraft or occultism. But I can say it now because the year's over, one of my things was that I wasn't going to connect a lot on social media in the coming year, because the drama that was happening, the negativity, and when people are feeling in fear, they create more drama around them, especially in the occult community. It was kind of sad to see some of the shit going down as it was. And I don't even say I'm in the, I suppose I'm put in there by default, but I must say that I keep myself separate for no other reason than I have to stay away from drama, because it takes me away from my spiritual practices and my magical practices. And I believe everyone, especially in the left-hand path, should be focusing on themselves and what they should be doing. And if somebody is causing you drama or harm, then you've got to actively dismiss them. It's lower vibrational energy and thinking to engage with this drama. Now, if someone's coming at you, of course you've got to deal with it. You deal with it firmly, hard, whether it's illegal. I've spoke about this before. You've got to come at them, especially if they're coming at you, your business, or your family. I take it legal every time. The biggest way you can hurt someone is with their back pocket. Make them freaking pay. I go for the juggler. But the problem is, a lot of people that you're trying to sue don't even have money, or they're hidden under some rock, under some stupid name. That's the thing. But the key is I wanted to stay away from all of that, because I realized with the pressure of what's going on socially and then what's going on magically, I just knew the energy coming into this year, I just needed to move away a little bit. I feel much better, much stronger. And so I might engage, but I don't have a lot of time. Like, I don't know how these people have time for TikTok and all that. I wish I did. I just don't. I just don't. But anyways, so that's my little bitch session, and really advice for people that do follow me and um, want some tips on sort of just it's a small shift of mindset, isn't it? Like, firstly, you have to be aware of the problem. You have to acknowledge it, that it is a problem. And then while you don't have the exact solution or say that it's going to be 100% better, because I don't believe in 100%, you just have to be slightly mindful of it so you can make some shifts in your mindset. So when you are beginning to engage or other people are engaging with you that trigger you and take you off away from your goals, you have to say, okay, I'm just going to cut this person, this friend, this social media channel, this whatever out of my life, even for a period of time. You know, I always say your blood, your family is here forever, and friends and everyone else is here for reasons and seasons. That's been my motto my entire life, and it's just what I go by. So I don't know. I don't know if that helped or not. But anyways, let's look at some questions. Okay, this is from Jennifer. She says, I'm a very chaotic person, severe ADHD, and I constantly feel like I'm in a whirlwind. I have no set practice and I'm very casual with everything. But I wonder if I would be better if I only studied practice one style for a while, because I'm not super consistent. I say, pray, and say ends frequently. Ends are like the demonic calling card, if you want. It's spelt ENN if you wanted to look up what they are. So she says a lot of prayers and ends frequently, but I don't get a lot of time for either. A lot of my spells are thrown together with what little I know. I have had some success, but never no success. But my main question is, what type of magic do you think would be best suited for my chaotic, but also casual self? Or how do I choose one or keep doing what I'm doing? By the way, thank you. You have helped me push past my fear of touching the dark side. That's awesome. I never really believed in good and bad magic, but also know it's not a toy. From Jennifer. So I like what you say. I mean, even if you didn't have ADHD, I think the glut of information and knowledge we have today, I mean, man, are we not all like kids in candy stores? It's just unbelievable. I think that's one reason why I call myself a chaos magician, because I'm like a fat kid at the buffet at Vegas. You know, I just want to try a little bit. But I've had, I suppose, when I was growing up or when I was studying or interested in spirituality, uh, you might have heard me say before that I didn't make like a conscious decision that, okay, I'm going to study magic now. My path was just I was feeling energy from a young age. And so it sort of just flowed in. Like I didn't have expectations. So when I began to study and look at some of the information that was out there, and it's typically from the Wiccan style of books and manuals, because they were considered, I suppose, friendly to the mainstream. So, of course, they were in libraries or bookshops. You weren't going to get anything satanic in your local library or a bookshop back then. But it seemed quite normal, and the rituals were nice, and it provided a really nice little foundation to put some structure into the energetic practices or feelings or vibes that I was already kind of experiencing in real life. And also for me, this is why I can't be a certain type of Satanist, I suppose, is that I'd already seen spirit. I've already seen ghosts. I've already seen jinn. I've already seen this. So I can't say the spiritual world doesn't exist, and I can't be an atheist. Although in this, I get like maybe if I wasn't a witch and hadn't experienced spirituality, I probably would be an atheist or a Buddhist, but probably leaning towards atheism, considering my where in the world I live. I lived growing up Sydney, Australia. So I just knew Christianity was complete BS, complete BS. And I'm so glad, on a side note, I'm so glad that there's so many documentaries that are out right now just talking about the origins of Christianity and why it's basically a big farce. And, because I was going to put a big video, get graphics done and cartoons. And then I was on Prime the other night and I noticed something about the Messiah. And I think he's an Australian presenter, but he was talking about just the whole bullshit of Jesus and Christianity. And, Jesus was a Jew, and that Christianity didn't even exist until the bunch of guys who wanted, they didn't want to be circumcised and they didn't want to follow Judaism. They created their own little way of practicing because there was money to be made. They weren't going to give it up. And then all the Bible was written, 80 something years after the event. And none of these dudes had even met Jesus. I mean, anyways, it can't come from me why Christianity is complete bullshit. It's right up there with Santa Claus in my world. Like, when I see religious services or something like that, I'm like, man, I wish the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus was doing this because it's just as amusing. But what I liked about Wicca was that there was some structure to it, where a lot of black magic and left-hand park occult practices, we don't have we don't have a written book. Okay, there's no here's how we practice the dark arts. And if you're first coming into the dark arts, you're probably looking at the Goetia or any of the other other books, left-hand path books that have been written based off reversing Goetia rituals, which is nothing wrong with anything like that. But it's that's just one way of practicing it. But I think if you're coming into magic, you have to learn the foundation. You have to learn the principles of magic, at least the principles of energy, because otherwise you conduct spells and you just think, that didn't work, or I followed the book. How many books are out there? This is why I haven't written a spell book. Because you follow the one spell and you think, oh, that didn't work. This is all shit. And it's got nothing to do with that. I'm saying, yeah, I think it's wonderful that other people have taken time, but I just know how confusing it is for everyone, because unless you have or you understand the principles of magic, you're not going to respect it and you're not going to really understand it. So, so if you follow something, I agree with you, follow something for the duration. Follow Wicca. Do 3 years of Wicca. Just follow the path. I mean, it's like anything else if you're studying at a university level. I would tell my daughter, who was studying law and psychology at one stage, she's like, but I don't like psychology and I don't like this subject at law and I don't like this. I'm like, just suck it up and finish it. It's not about you liking every damn subject. It's about the accumulated knowledge and the principles you learn, all those skills you learn along the journey. It's about building the skills along the way, really. I mean, what do you remember? I don't know. Personally, when I finished my university degree, or like whatever one, I'd look back onto the first couple of years. I don't know what I studied. I'm punching out those subjects, cramming it for exams, and once that information's out of my head, it's done for good. I mean, maybe I recall 2% of it or something like that at a later date, but it's just is what it is. And it's the same with your magical tradition. Stick to something follow it through, and just just dedicate yourself to it, because it's about discipline. I think magic, if there's a key word I could share for today, would be it's discipline, it's consistency, and then once you have that discipline and consistency, you'll be rewarded. Now the rewards probably won't they're probably not what you're expecting them to be. I was watching this documentary on Freemasonry, and I was like, at least these guys, especially the elders, whatever their name is, grand poobahs of that industry, they just keep it real for everyone that's following down in the system. They withhold the information, and they'll give it to you kind of like in sections. So you start at year one, you only have the ability to read that much of their body of knowledge. If you jump through enough hoops, you get that much. You pass those hoops, you get the next bit of knowledge. Until, like, if you really apply yourself, you get to grand poobah level. Now, in this documentary, he said, the thing is, when you're just starting out in Freemasonry, you think that they've got some hidden magical secret that is the nugget to X, Y, and Z. But when you get to that level, you realize that you've had the answers all the way along. And you're not going to appreciate that unless you go through that magical journey, until you realize that all of these answers, you already have all the answers locked within you. But it's accessing those answers. You need to go through a process of unlocking these doors of knowledge. And, because we're so tainted or affected by the world that we're actually physically living in, and it takes us away from the truth. That's such a deep subject matter. But going back to you, Jennifer, especially when you have ADHD, but I think we all have ADHD these days on a social level, because there's so much coming in. So there's a couple of books, I suppose. So if I had to show you like two books that I would recommend, Buckland, America's version of Gerald Gardner. So Gerald Gardner was basically, he's heralded as the father of Wicca. And really, I mean, say what you will about Wicca, but they took a lot of the heat from other magical practitioners. Like, for all of us, they really did bite the bullet. And, sure, he was a journalist, sure, he was a nudist, X, Y, and Z. But they went out there in public and made magic digestible to the general public. And that has, gone along the years. So people like us today, we have a little more freedom to some degree, especially in the left-hand path. We're still in the shadows. But at least we have a little bit more freedom to practice. And so Buckland is the American version of Gardner. So Buckland, out in the USA, and he's created his own little Wicca tradition. In case you don't know, there's many different branches, if you like, of Wicca, just like there's many branches of Christianity, right? So, not that this is a lesson on Wicca, but generally when you reach a certain level in your Coven, like generally level 3 or 4, you probably want to break off and start your own group of witches or bitches. Because that's generally what happens in mainstream covens. It just turns into a gigantic shit fight, and they break off and form smaller groups. But anyway, that's just human nature, right? In any group, doesn't matter if it's witchcraft or not. So that's a good book. Now, why am I showing you this? Because it's a course style book. So you're going to go all the witchy language, and you just follow it through. And some things you think, well, God, this is boring or stupid or just lame. But like I just said, with a university subject, some of it is shit. Some of it's boring. Most of it's lame. Most of it's useless. But it's that process of dedication, time, dedication gives you confidence, skills, and knowledge. And that way you can be a mega witch. Um, the other one, the other classic is this one. This is Donald Craig's book on modern magic and 12 lessons in the high magical arts. This is probably more tailored or for people on the left-hand path, or not left-hand path, that's wrong too. There's a middle ground, like ceremonial magic. It's more high magic. High magic means it's more structured, it's more ritualized. Um, Other, like, folk magic, even though we have a course on hoodoo witchcraft, it's not high magic, it's folk magic. So it's interpretation of it's folk magic principles. So do you have to do a course on that? Well, people that have done my course, I will just say they said it's all of this information is available online or in books, and it just takes you through a structured way of doing it. Well, your other question is, what type of magic do you think, or what do I think that you should do? And it's too hard for me to recommend that because I don't know you. I don't know your comfort level in magic. I don't know how much time you have to dedicate to magic. But if you just pick up something like this, it's 30, $40 or whatever. It's the cheapest way. Maybe grab a friend or two. If you're a certain age and you have a friendship group that's interested, you don't have to start a coven itself. In fact, that can be quite limiting to some degree, but at least, like, I hate to say, like a Bible study group, you meet together maybe every Thursday. Somebody brings a pizza, someone brings a drink, and you can study it versus having to get together and do magical rituals. Like, just treat it with respect, I suppose. I hope that's helped. Right, next question. This is from Danielle. She says, "Hey, I don't know you, but I've been having a lot of visions or things happen where I see things happening, going on, and I've always had a intuition that was 100% accurate. I just didn't know it until recently. I started seeing videos of you, and then I was in the bathtub and closed my eyes, and it showed you in a cloak, and you communicated with me a lot. I've seen you talking to a coworker and journaling, and I don't know if it was a premonition or something to come or an actual telepathic intuitive thing, but my dad passed away and my dad was coming to me in these visions also. I'm just wondering what these are. It's like I could hear you telling me things and you were at a desk and you sat down and journaled. I have deja vu or visions of things that reminded me of something, or would it be a significant point in my life and I would immediately recognize it? What does all of this mean?" Dream or vision interpretation, so subjective. You wouldn't be the first person that says I've come to you in your dreams or visions. And in fact, even this week, I won't call her out, but Miss N from Norway, just after our consultation, and she messaged me back and she's like, "Savannah, I just felt a huge incoming attack. Are you okay? I seen you screaming at the spiritual world." And actually, I was completely fine. I was in a meditation after our consultation, lighting candles and just in prayer to the spiritual world. And even some other clients that I've spoken to, and they can pick up these different things coming at me, and in some ways, I'm so honored to have such beautiful, magical clients. It's amazing. But yeah, I feel like a lot of us, especially some of you talking to me now, or some of my clients, I feel like we've been in different reincarnations together. We've been throughout history doing different things together. I feel like we're all coming together and connecting in different ways. And so we're just doing this. And some of you are more in tune spiritually than me too. And yeah, I do believe, like, of course, I'm under spiritual attack all the time. I wouldn't even doubt it for a second that I wouldn't have somebody throwing something my way. And I suppose, not talking too much about it because I can't talk a lot about the types of spiritual protection I do because that would weaken my systems. But my spiritual protectors would come at them like a general at an army. And that's basically saving me in my little bubble so I can continue doing what I'm doing. But, I'm not arrogant about this. I know that, sure, of course, any of us can be taken down by a spiritual attack. It's your spiritual hygiene. It's those protection rituals that you normally do when you're getting into the world. You set up all your protection systems. But yes, to answer your question, I wouldn't be surprised if you connected with me. Now, sometimes clients, either before we have a consultation, sometimes it's going to sound weird, sometimes Lucifer will go and check them out and they'll talk about that beforehand. Sounds weird, but it's just the truth. And some people will see visions. Many clients have seen visions of us, normally with the other spiritual workers that I work with. Normally I'm in a cloak in a lot of situations, or or I'll be journaling, or someone will be forming the ritual and I'll be taking notes, like a scrying sort of situation. And so if you tune in, I wouldn't be surprised. It sounds like something we would really do. But you always have to look at, I like to write down, if I have visions or dreams, I'll write them down right after, because sometimes you need multiple dreams or multiple visions to understand the bigger picture. But you're not going nuts if you found me or you connected with me. It's probably just helping you guide yourself or feel comfortable in the left-hand path. Or I even hate that term. I not hate it, but it's just like, I feel like our path is a path of truth. And I feel like in another 10 years, there's going to be so many people just like us who are just freedom fighters, or the speakers of truth, and connecting to our ancient gods in a way that doesn't have to be seen as dark or left-hand path or something. But anyway, it's a different story. But it's probably just, I would say that I'm just, maybe the spirits are trying to guide you over to exploring the truth behind what I'm talking about. Because I really feel like we're on the path of light. I feel like everyone else, not everyone else, but a lot of people are in the dark. Sarah asks, I've been struggling to find what kind of witch I could be. I feel like I'm in a tug of war with myself. I like white magic, but I get pulled towards black magic, and I've thought about doing your courses, but to be honest, I'm a bit scared as I'm still learning and unsure. Do you do or know of general witch courses that's great for beginners, but not necessarily specific to one, if that makes sense? Like a guide course to help a spiritual journey, or a book you recommend? I want your advice, as there's so many scam websites out there, and I know you and your fellow members are legit, and you have a mix of types of witches and witchcraft on this site. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I don't think my courses, especially the ones that I offer right now, they're not suitable for someone that's just walked in the front door, because most people, not saying this is you, Sarah, but most people that have walked through the front door, they're probably here because they want to achieve a result, and maybe looked at the price of spells and thinking, shit, I want to do that myself, which you should. I love when you've got time to do the magic yourself. And so you jump in a course and you're just trying to cherry pick certain parts of the course, because really what you're wanting is a result. You're not looking for the acquisition of knowledge. And so I will steer people away, because unless you're going to dedicate yourself to some time and dedication, probably you're going to be pissed off and be angry at the course. but it's everything I spoke about earlier on in this video. So the way I'm going to answer your question is a little bit different to the one I just answered, even though really I feel like part of your answer is in what I just answered. But if you're at that buffet of witchcraft and you're trying to see which one you like best, my answer for you is put yourself, maybe 2022 is going to be your spiritual taste tester. And every month, there's 12 months in the year, right? why don't you just say, okay, every month I'm just going to dedicate myself to one of these areas of magic, not to dive in really deep and say, now I am give yourself a certificate, like, which I love about the New Age courses, right? In one weekend, you can be a master of disaster. Ha ha ha. Just give me $700 and you're it. No, I feel like if you just say, okay, this year I want to answer that question, what type of witch do I really want to be? What type of magic should I invest a lot of years in? Because the study of magic takes a long time, let's just be honest. And maybe January you study hoodoo, you're studying folk magic. And January you go in and study maybe crystals, or maybe pranic healing, maybe Reiki. Maybe you go and study Wicca, or look at the foundations of Wicca. Maybe you look at demonolitary and see what's going on there. Maybe the following month you do, spend it just researching about ceremonial magic. Maybe the next month you look at Philema. Maybe it's chaos magic that floats your boat. But I think you really have to make a decision on doing that investigation work. I don't think a night searching Google is enough. I feel like you say, okay, January I'm going to start, research this. And then when you're researching it, not just read it because that's what we do, but actually look at the tools. Okay, if I'm to get the tools on doing satanic rituals, what will I need? And start grabbing these type of things, and then look at a ritual and do like a walkthrough. I mean, even if you don't have the tools, because some of them are expensive to collect, just walk through the rituals and see if you actually would enjoy it. For example, in ceremonial magic, or even when you're putting spirits into crystals, the preparation work, does that suit you to do that level of preparation work? Abstaining from a lot of things, the preparing your environment, the consecration of tools, all of that sort of stuff. Really walk through that process. That's my little suggestion there. Adriana says, what is your opinion in regards to all of the paranormal TV shows, specifically when, for example, a show will refer to a spirit as demonic even though they do not know anything about the spirit? What do you think these shows are made up? Yeah, I feel like a lot of them are. I mean, I like a lot of them too. It's a bit of fun. I feel like there is a lot of smoke and mirrors, so to speak, because if they didn't have that, you just know that you can't produce a ghost on cue. I will say though, like if you've ever used any of that ghost equipment, I mean, you'll be able to pull something off, or capture something on camera. For example, when I was living in Vegas, a group of girlfriends, we went over to Arizona. I forget where. It's a university town in Arizona. We took their ghost equipment. I think my friend Shelley is friends with Zach from that ghost show. Had some ghost equipment and stuff. So, anyways, we went and stayed in the most haunted hotel there, and the girls had the EMF. I think EMF, is that what it's called? And they're walking around, and it's like, Bzz! And as soon as it says something, everyone's like, ah, and wants to run back to their rooms. And I'm just like, you think there's not ghosts and spirits all around us everywhere anyways? I mean, if you could actually see ghosts and spirits, you'd be freaked out most of the time because there's just so many dead people and people that haven't passed on. So it is quite amusing anyways, but it is quite fun. So you can get, I believe that it is possible for these experiences to be shown on the TV shows. And on that same trip, we went out to this cemetery, and you get all the way out to the cemetery. We're in the car, and then we're in the middle of this cemetery. There's 5 of us in this car, and then no one would open the doors to get out. I'm like, let me the freak out of this car. You people freak me out, not spirits, not the demons. Of people freak me out. Like, let me out. Like, oh my gosh, ghost out there, and it's like, you think a ghost can't come through this window of this car? But anyways, so I get out of the vehicle. Another little girl, she comes and she links arms with me, and we're walking in the dark up to the cemetery because I'm like, I'm going to stand by a grave and petition something because people are freaking me out. That's what's freaking me out. So it was complete darkness when I was walking up this cemetery with this girl. And when I said the incantation, all of the orbs started coming. It's like thousands of them. It was almost like a Disney-like effect. And we couldn't see them. I couldn't feel the energy too. I mean, we had been drinking prior, but and they didn't see it either. You couldn't see it, but it was all captured on film after the fact. So after I stopped talking, probably talking about something else with the girl, and I just wander off the dark path. Cemeteries are kind of my thing. So they dissipate, and that's all shown on the film as well. So why am I sharing this? Well, yeah, I believe what you can see on those shows is real. I do believe a lot of it is contrived or planned, sort of like reality TV, right? Like we just know those housewife shows. None of those bitches are friends in real life. Come on. Now, in terms of the demonic aspect of it, yes, I believe I've seen one show. I think it was the one, the paranormal show with that Zach guy and the three amigos. It was a house. I think it was in Michigan somewhere, and there was a demonic spirit in the house. So I do believe in that. And if he hadn't bought that house, I was thinking the same thing. I would have bought that house myself. I wouldn't have demolished it though. It would be probably somewhere that I'd go up and have a good time in. And respectful. I'm not saying that flippantly at all. But yeah, there are some really dark spirits out there. Not lying. It just is what it is. And I think on that show only, the rest of the shows, there's one where there's like this preacher guy or ex New York cop and some other chick, and they look like, especially her, she looks constipated. No offense, girl, but like take a big shit and then do your show. It's like, like if it's freaking you out that much, just stop. Like, for God's sake. Shit, they're hard to watch. So I only watched a few of them, and it was just too much. And honestly, not that I would ever do that, but you feel like just saying to their clients, like, please, all of the shit you're going through could have been swept out of there in 5 seconds. It's hilarious, but that wouldn't be for good TV, would it? This is a good one. Okay. Which love spell is most effective when a lover leaves you for another? I've tried a few things to bring him back. It works a little, but then he refuses the situation. It's quite severe. This is a little bit old, sorry. Like you can see, we have quite a few. Misty, your name is. Love spells are notoriously hard for so many reasons. I did a video on this. I can't remember how long ago. I never watched my older videos. It would freak me out. But if you had some result, that's awesome, firstly. Secondly, there's I like to, you have to do the divination before you do the spell, and I'm sure you're doing that. But when you pull the cards or do whatever divination method, the spirit will guide you with an answer. What was that answer? So what a lot of people do, if they don't like the answer that the spirit will give them, they'll pull more cards. I was saying to a client the other day, it's like having one of those magic 8 balls and you shake it and you ask a question and there's a response and you don't like the response, so you shake it again. Like you'll say, am I going to die today? And you shake it and it says yes. Well, that's not the response you want. You shake it and it says no. I was like, I like that response. Thank you. We shouldn't do that when it comes to with spiritual messages. You have to accept it and then dig in deeper. If the answer is like, will I bring my lover back? And spirit says no. That sucks. If I perform a spell like this, would I have an opportunity? Maybe yes, because I do different types of spells. Oh, okay, so there's a little bit of an edge there. What about this situation do I need to overcome? And especially for love work, what I like to ask clients is, say it's female and it's a male problem. What would, if I was asking him and we're in a closed counseling session and I said to your partner, what's the main issue you have with her? It's going to be private, it's between us. What is he going to say? This is hard because now you've probably thought about this issue together for a long period of time. And you have your position and he has his position. And now it's just like, let's just battle this out and see who can be worn down the fastest, who is going to submit. Now, you never want your partner to submit. Especially men are very good at what we call stonewalling, and that is keeping quiet. As soon as someone's quiet, that's when there's a problem. If you're not discussing stuff and talking about the challenge, doesn't mean you won, especially if you're a female. You didn't win the battle. Actually, you lost the war, because that person then is going to be finding the plan B. It's probably not going to be you. It's probably going to be with another woman who doesn't make him feel like he feels with you. Now, this isn't taking it out, because clients say, oh, that's harsh, Savannah, like you should just be telling me fluffy shit. No, my clients don't say that. But really, that's what you want to hear. You want me to say something positive. When I ask Spirit, what about this client do I have to know so I can help them overcome this challenge? When Spirit does, and if it does speak to me, it's direct. And so normally it's an unfiltered response. And we talk in filtered responses today. Otherwise, we'd all be saying what we've really thought about each other. And a lot of times that isn't very positive. It's not conducive to people getting along together. But these are the types of questions you have to ask, especially when it comes to love work. What about the situation? Why doesn't he want me anymore? Am I too fat? Have I put on weight? Do I not show affection? Am I always bitching and nagging? Da, da, da. These are things that are tough. It's tough. But the truth about human behavior is we don't actually talk or ask for what truly motivates us, if we have to be honest. It's all of these things. We will ask them for something else. We talk to our spouse in different language, trying to motivate them or manipulate them into doing something else or behaving in a different way, but we're not saying it directly. So you've got to ask these really tough questions. And even in the spell casting, that's what I do. You ask me what I do, that's what I do. And so I'm looking for, all right, with a love spell, if it is because he feels like I nag him or try and control him all the time, what I would be then doing is some sort of spell before the other spell to help manipulate, change, or soften his position. But even, look, in simple magic, sweetening spells, a sweetening jar, something like this, okay? This isn't a strawberry shortcake. This is a sweetening jar. And so for this is Friday, so there will be a candle burnt on top of this. Now this is a jar. In there is a petition and a whole bunch of sugar and shit, personal concerns, the photos of the targets tied up together. And a candle is burnt on this every Friday night. It's a sweetening jar. But what I'm asking for here for this is for the person to be softer towards my feelings, my goals. It's folk magic. It's low frequency, low energy, consistent low energy. And so while they are sitting in the sweetness of the syrup or whatever you've got in that jar, the petition's in there, you're softening towards what you're needing them to do. And then when you cast the spell, you'll have a better chance of that high frequency spell perhaps changing the outcome for you. The benefit of the jar is also that it's worked frequently. So most magic isn't one and done. Some of our different ceremonial magic rituals or demonic rituals, satanic rituals, yes, we do one big ritual. But even still, depending on the situation, especially with love magic's really hard because you've got your desire, you've got the desire from someone else, then you've got the trauma, and maybe even there's another person. And so it's just natural human behavior that if someone's been going through a lot of drama with you for a long time and they don't see that there's an outcome that's at least a little bit favorable towards what they also want, their love bank, let me talk psychology for a second, their love bank, their feeling for you, their love bank credits, that's a halfway point. Maybe once upon a time before you started fighting about shit, their love bank was high. Now you're fighting and you've been fighting for such a long period, the love bank is quite low. And what happens is then there's a new person that comes in, right? And this new person they've had no trauma with, they haven't had a chance to fight, they're probably not living with that person. So everything is rosy and peachy. And so their love bank for that person is up here. You're down here. So it's human behavior that we're going to walk towards pleasure and step away from pain. It's a very hurtful, but just humans, we're not that complex, but it's just natural. And then it depends on your belief system, your value system, and then all some other factors, personality type, for example, mental illness and drugs. What keeps you in the loop, in the crazy eight loop, what I like to call. The crazy eight is actually like this. And that means in relationships, right? There's good times where you're going up and everyone's behaving themselves and you're holding your crazy in. And then crazy hits a peak. And then it's just a shit show where you're fighting and there's drama and there's tension and you're letting it out and you're hurting each other and causing each other pain. And then human behavior, you want to relieve yourself from that pain. So you decide to be nice. And you're feeling good, and you're saying nice things to each other again, you're holding your crazy in. But relationships are generally like this when they get on that circle, right? So you've got to try and break that crazy eight cycle. But to do that, especially with love magic, what I've found, you've got to be honest with what the true problems are, work on those problems, and then cast that spell, and you'll find you'll have a lot more success. Now, I've simplified that because there's so many different little nuances, but I hope that that helps you. But keep casting it, man. Like, yes, we do love spells and stuff, but I strongly believe the strongest love spells or the strongest magic, when it's coming from you, that's always powerful. And it's not really that hard to do, especially if you're watching all of this stuff. Just do it. Just do it. Anyways, that's enough. I know I've spoken about a lot of other things. And if you like this format where I just rabbit on about all other stuff, just let me know. Or if you just want me to shut up and answer your questions clearly, let me know. I mean, I'm going to do what I want to do, but I still would like your opinion. And yes, got a bunch of other ones here, but they're going to have to wait till next month. All right. So next month, I'll probably be doing this video from Australia. If the country, like, unless they freaked out because there's some other disease where they shut the border down, like if somebody sneezes and then coughs at the same time, they'll probably shut down the country again, and I don't get there. But if everyone can hold their crazy together, I'll be back in Australia, in Sydney, throughout January. So have a great holiday break. And for us pagans, if you're celebrating Yuletide blessings to you and to your family, we will be celebrating the 12 days of Yule ourselves. And for everyone else, seasonal greetings to you all, and Happy New Year. And see you in 2022. Bye.